Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Saturday evening, the 19th of January, 2019, and normally we do Saturday Night Live with Smaulgld. Not Saturday Night Live. Oh yes, Saturday Night Live with Smaulgld, but it's usually Saturday Night Silver with Smaulgld. But tonight we're going to be covering gold. The topic of tonight's show is Russia smashes its own gold purchase record in 2018 as de-dollarization accelerates. First, we're going to take a look at some of the stories of the day. We're going to also do quick Moronica, and then we'll get into the Russian data. Now, the gold and silver markets were closed today, but we do have 24/7 crypto trading markets. So let's take a look at what's going on there to start. Bitcoin, it was strange. We see this a lot where all the cryptos will move suddenly at once, either in either direction, either up or down. And we saw that today. Bitcoin right now is at 36.78. That's up 2.21. Bitcoin Cash at 128, up 1.45%. Ethereum at 123, up 2.72%. And Litecoin at 32.17, up 3.73%. These are Coinbase numbers. The blended average on CoinMarketCap is probably a bit higher. Ethereum Classic 4.46 at minus 0.22. But one thing I noticed today was that around early this morning, well, no, it wasn't this morning. I'm trying to think when it was. Yeah, it was early this morning. It was around 5 a.m. Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Fuel just went up within 30 seconds of each other. And then they stopped, and then they all leveled off. We see that a lot. You would think that people who trade these cryptocurrencies wouldn't be holding positions in all of them and decide to buy and sell all at the same time. You would think that they have different reasons to go up or down. They're not just crypto trading, but we do see that a lot. Now, a few weeks ago, we saw some type of divergence where Litecoin went up and Bitcoin did nothing and vice versa. But today's move is somewhat typical of what I see a lot. You see the prices moving up all at once or moving down all at once. Now, also, we had news from CoinGate, which is somewhat of a processor, and they're working on the Lightning Network, and I think about 10% of their transactions are in Litecoin, but they're integrating the Lightning Network on Litecoin to boost crypto payments. They say they got like 100 nodes or so. So that's a pretty interesting development because that would speed up payments more and allow not that their Litecoin system was overloaded with transactions, but it would allow Litecoin, Bitcoin to scale if there were indeed more transactions. By the way, last night, Johnny Litecoin was on, and he often shows up on the Smaulgld live streams, and he was once a guest, and we went through payments. He works for a payment processor, and he had given me a tip last night, not some type of inside information, but he had tipped me Litecoin, and he was trying to show that it's very easy to tip content providers like myself by just having a Litecoin wallet or a Bitcoin wallet and scanning the QR code. So last night, I missed this. He said, super easy to donate to Smaulgld with Litecoin or Bitcoin. I just sent him a tip via Litecoin. Thank you very much, John. It took me 2 seconds. I opened my Litecoin wallet on my phone. I scanned the QR and sent the payment. Very easy. And yes, indeed, he did. I looked in my account, and bingo star, there she is. He sent me a nice 0.15 Litecoin. So I want to thank John for that. I kind of scrolled through that last night, and much appreciated, but it is indeed very easy to do so. You could just scan your QR codes. It was part and parcel of what I was talking about last night, how it is one of the use cases for cryptocurrencies is the ability to send money very easily in a censorship-free way. So, for example, if I got kicked off of Patreon or kicked out of PayPal, not that I'm intending on it, but no one intends on that, you can still run transactions through Bitcoin and Litecoin. The money or the Bitcoin or Lite comes directly to you. So thank you again, John, for that demonstration. But I kind of missed what was going on. All right, news today, the wall. Now, if you remember yesterday, the last couple of days, Pelosi and Trump have been battling over. She doesn't want him to give the State of the Union for security concerns. We covered this yesterday. You can listen to it the day before. And then he shut her down on taking the military jets. Well, today, Trump gave an offer to try to get the government back open and to try to get his wall. And here's what he offered. He figured that he would agree to $800 million in humanitarian assistance, $805 million for drug detection at the border. He would add another 2,750 border agents, 75 immigration judges. He'd come up with a way for minors to apply for asylum in their home country so they wouldn't come to the United States with the understanding that they could apply for asylum and then get processed and then given a court date and then just disappear into the country. This way they can apply in their home countries. 3 years relief for 700 DACA recipients and 3 years protection for 300,000 TPS. And then for all that, he would get his $5.7 billion for the wall. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer said, no way, we're not going to do that. We'll see where it goes. This is just probably going to push him further into the emergency, declaring an emergency and building the wall. Just a brief comment on this. He's offered this in the past, and they're treating this as if you're not really giving us anything, which is somewhat true, because currently the DACA people have their relief because he tried to rescind it, and the Ninth Circuit told him he can't do that. So it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and I think they realize that if it goes to the Supreme Court, that they'll probably say it was within his rights to rescind the DACA. It was not even an executive order by President Obama. It was a presidential directive or something. And if that's the case, then there is no more DACA. There is no more. Those people have no further protections and they can be deported, which would mean Trump, if he plays this game, which it seems like he knew this was going to get rejected, he's going to have them reject it, make it look like they don't care about the DACA people. They don't care about the dreamers because he was offering them some type of relief. They don't take it. Then what he does is he declares the emergency, he builds the wall. They stop the wall at the Ninth Circuit. It goes to the Supreme Court. They let the wall go through. And at the same time, when they're ruling on that case, they rule on his order to shut down DACA, rescinding Obama's presidential directive. And then they say, no, that was unconstitutional. Obama shouldn't have done that. And then Trump gets his wall, and then DACA people don't get their protection. So I would think if I were a Democrat and I was looking at my hand, I would take something like this. But they are determined, and it would be, I think, a Pyrrhic victory to just deny him the wall, because they did not get elected, as far as I can tell, to stop the wall. They got elected, I think, to get some type of relief and some type of immigration reform, which they may not get if they don't have the wall as a bargaining chip, but they're determined not to give them the wall. Something we'll just have to follow as we go along. All right, now, what else do we got? Well, we have, I like this one here. We talk about the Trump pump and the Powell put that has really put a floor, a base under the stock market. And we've seen since the plunge protection team went into full effect on Christmas Eve 2018, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, all up 12-15%. And the Powell put part is they decided to change their whole outlook on interest rates for 2019, saying that interest rate hikes could be held off and that they would be patient in their conduct of monetary policy. So here we have one of the Fed presidents saying that patience, it can wait, and that rate hikes can wait, and patience is the new mantra at the Federal Reserve, less than 2 weeks ahead of the U.S. Central Bank's first policy meeting of the new year. So most people are expecting that they won't raise rates going into, or now that we're in 2019. All right, I think we're ready for Veronica. Let's see what we have. No, this one's a big one. Now, last night, I was aware of this story. There was a BuzzFeed story that was talking about how BuzzFeed had come across information from 2 federal investigators that Michael Cohen had received, no, had a, oh, sorry about that. Uh-oh. We got a moron here.
Presenting the distinguished international news commentator and foreign correspondent,
Smaulgld. This has been an extraordinary week in world affairs.
No, I told Hillary Clinton that that's moronic.
Sorry, it looked like I had got cut off there, and this has happened before. Okay, so the story that happened yesterday that I didn't cover because it was a BuzzFeed story, and I know that BuzzFeed is not the most reliable of outlets, and BuzzFeed, if you recall, is the outlet that was the only news media company that was willing to print the Steele dossier. It was the one with Trump supposedly instructing prostitutes to urinate on a bed where Obama and his wife had stayed. A bunch of what they call salacious material. And that actually, later on, turned out to be the basis, they say, for the FISA application. We're not going to get into that. But the story that appeared yesterday, and it was wall-to-wall coverage 24/7, and I didn't mention it yesterday because I didn't think it was worth discussing yet because something didn't sound right. And the idea was, or the story was, that BuzzFeed had either received information verbally or had seen information from 2 federal investigators, presumably from the Mueller team, because who else would have this information, that there was corroborating evidence that Donald Trump told Michael Cohen to lie about the Trump Tower building to Congress. Now, none of this would make any sense because they already knew about it, and there's nothing illegal about Trump building a tower in Moscow. I mean, you have the Hilton Tower in Moscow. It's not like Russia is the enemy and that Americans don't do business in Russia. But anyway, he didn't even do the tower. And it wouldn't make sense for him to tell Michael Cohen to lie to Congress. Also, had he done that, then that would have been part and parcel, I would have thought, as part of a deal that Cohen would have got, and he wouldn't have got in much trouble for his other crimes that they managed to nail him on. That would have been a really good thing for Cohen to have given up in exchange for getting out of his tax issues and his other issues that they stumbled upon when they raided his office. But I didn't report on it, and I watched how every media outlet went nuts saying this is an impeachable event. And let's take a look at the hysteria that these guys went into, and it just shows that they're looking for anything to nail Trump. And it reminds me of, Cicero pointed this out over 2,000 years ago, that one trick that you employ is you accuse somebody of dozens of things. And most people are going to think that's ridiculous. He didn't do all those things. But the idea is they may believe a couple of them. And that's a very clever tactic to get to besmirch someone's reputation. Cicero also knew that when you make your arguments and you make your presentations, far more important to get the emotions going than it is to get the logic going. And we see that on YouTube too. Game over and game changer. People want to hear about that stuff. Doom porn and so on. So what happened with this this is what's happening. They keep coming out with things about Trump. There's this latest bombshell, always a bombshell. Trump did this, Trump did that. But let's take a look at some of the reactions. These people, they went absolutely bonkers over this story because they smelled blood and they thought this was it. So here's Adam Schiff. Now, Adam Schiff is the chairman, now that the Democrats have won the House, of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. And he reacted to this Michael Cohen news, the allegations that the President of the United States may have suborned perjury before our committee in an effort to curtail the investigation and cover up his business dealings with Russia is among the most serious to date. We will do what's necessary to find out if it's true. Now, some of you may recall that this is actually a comedy of errors here, or a confederacy of dunces, because this is the guy who, if you might recall, back, comedians played a joke on this guy, Russian comedians. They called up Adam Schiff, and they claimed to have all this information on Trump. And so, what does Schiff do? He, quote, colludes with them to try to get the information. I'll just play you 10 seconds of this. I mean, this guy can't be the sharpest tool in the shed if he falls for this. But listen to this. He's got his notepad ready. This is Adam Schiff. He's listening to these two Russian comedians, and they are going to pull his leg. And he goes for it. And he's taking notes, and he's trying to get as much information from these guys as they might possibly have. Let me show you the guys here. And at one point, the funny part I like is they say, "We have pictures of naked Trump." You can listen here.
Okay, and so Buzova met with Trump in New York at some point after the 2013 Miss Universe
yes,
pageant.
Absolutely, and she got compromising materials on Trump after their short relations.
Okay, and what's the nature of the compromise?
Well, there were pictures of naked Trump.
There were pictures of naked Trump. And Schiff goes on for like 10 minutes. Never in the entire conversation do they actually let on that they're pulling his leg. They arrange to have a further call. He figures it out later. But these guys, it wasn't just Schiff, he's the head of this committee, who are ready to go for blood if this story is correct. Here's a senator. This is a senator from Oregon. If this report of Trump's suborning force testimony is confirmed, then Trump committed a felony and must resign or be impeached. So he's ready to have Adam there. That's a senator. Then we have another congressman. We have presidential candidate. We have a former attorney general, all weighing in. Here's a congressman. This guy's name is Smaulgld. More evidence of collusion. This is more evidence. This is an accusation out of BuzzFeed, but this is evidence to him. If real Donald Trump directed his lawyer to lie, it was to conceal the underlying allegation from being exposed as true. Hashtag they colluded. He's already figured it out. That is Representative Smaulgld from California. Then we have Joaquin Castro, Texas. He's a conspiracy theorist. As he mentioned earlier today, watch for real Donald Trump to take some dramatic, distracting action over the next few days because of the Michael Cohen President Told Me to Lie story. Then you have, I don't think there's any relationship, but there's another Castro, and he's running for president, Julian Castro. And what does he have to say for himself? He goes on The View. Now remember, The View is the place where the head lady, I don't know what her name is, Bashar or something, she was handed some note that said something about Russian collusion, and she jumped up and down, and turned out that was completely fake too. But this guy says, if BuzzFeed's report that Trump directed Cohen to lie under oath is confirmed, President Trump should be impeached immediately. Okay, then you have who else is here? Ted Lieu, another guy out in California. He is a congressman. What does he have to say for himself? This disturbing Moscow Tower story, which shows real Donald Trump engaged in obstruction of justice makes us ask again, where in the Constitution does it say a sitting president can't be indicted? That sentence doesn't exist in our Constitution. Now, he's absolutely right. That doesn't exist in the Constitution, but the story doesn't show he engaged. Well, I guess the story shows he engaged in obstruction of justice, if you can believe the story. But this is the guy who said something along the lines that he wished that the First Amendment didn't exist. People could just be shut up if they didn't like what he was saying. Something like that. I remember he denied it and he parsed his words, but he was definitely for people getting shut down for speaking. Here, former Attorney General Eric Holder, he says, if true, big. And I wrote, if not true, fake news. And guess what? It turned out to be that Mueller's office had to issue a statement saying, this isn't true. But that didn't stop Dan Rather. Dan Rather is the guy who, during the 2004 campaign with John Kerry and George Bush, received a letter that supposedly proved that George Bush used his connections to avoid the draft. And the letter was supposedly written from somebody on behalf of George Bush. And some internet sleuths realized that letter had to be a forgery, because in 1968, the type of typewriter that supposedly would have been used to make that letter had a character on it a character in that letter that didn't exist on a typewriter in 1968. So he never verified the letter, and of course, everyone called him, it was pre-fake news days, but they said that he had committed journalistic malpractice because he hadn't checked the veracity of it. And to this day, he denies that he did anything wrong. He says that while the letter was incorrect, it was directionally correct. So it was fake, but I guess it should have been true. And it's the same here. And you're going to see the reaction that people had when they found out when Mueller's office said that what BuzzFeed reported wasn't accurate. They said, well, that doesn't mean that it's not true. And by the way, Trump's guilty of something else. And that's exactly the purpose of these stories, is to get out there as many things about Trump as possible, so that maybe you won't believe this one. But as Brian Stelter was saying the other day, there's so much smoke. And I think that's what they want. And even if this was false, not a problem, because they're going to get on something else. Now, BuzzFeed, when presented with the Mueller denial of the story, which is very, very rare. Now, there's some thoughts here about why the Mueller team would come out and deny this type of story. First of all, if indeed two federal investigators did talk to BuzzFeed, were they on the Mueller team? Because they certainly would be in trouble for leaking. Did they tell them this, or did BuzzFeed make it up whole cloth? Or did BuzzFeed actually talk to somebody? And did they actually hear those words? Because if they did, and perhaps the story's true, but Mueller's team came out and said it wasn't true. Now, maybe they came out and said it wasn't true because they're concerned that they've got leakers, and so who knows? But the point being is, Mueller's team came out, made a statement, and said that what was reported in BuzzFeed was not accurate. Now, BuzzFeed says, one BuzzFeed reporter says they saw the documents. Another BuzzFeed reporter says they didn't see the documents that back up this story that Trump told Michael Cohen to lie. Now, I don't know what documents they would have, because Trump doesn't use email. Trump doesn't send out letters. Yeah, listen, Michael, when you go to Congress, do me a favor. Don't mention the Trump Tower. It was already known anyway, so I don't know why he would do that. But anyway, Ben Smith says, in response to this statement from the special counsel spokesman, we stand by our reporting and the sources who informed it. Now, I don't know why anyone would stand by your sources. I mean, unless they're your family. I mean, why would you trust? I mean, they could have been set up. This whole thing could have been set up. Who knows what goes on in spy world? They could have legitimately thought that they had two guys, two women, whoever they are, giving them information, and maybe they weren't. Maybe they were the two Russian guys. We have pictures of naked Trump Oh, you come by and we give you pictures. Yes, very naked. Most naked Trump you'll ever see. Huge naked. And it's also a point where I guess when you're in this business, it's difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. So he's not giving up the game here. And then, of course, your president got involved and he tweeted out this. Remember, I mentioned this at the start, it was BuzzFeed that released the totally discredited dossier paid for by crooked Hillary Clinton and the Democrats as opposition research, on which the entire Russian probe is based. A very sad day for journalism, but a great day for our country. One of the things I just realized, you know, he has nicknames for Crooked Hillary, Crying Chuck Schumer. He doesn't yet have a nickname for Nancy. And I think he's waiting he's definitely got one. He just hasn't used it yet. He's waiting for some point in the negotiations to, I think, give Nancy her nickname. All right, well, that was Moronica, and I think now we are ready to do Russian gold. We have pictures of naked gold. Okay, Russian gold. Let's take a look at what's going on with Russian gold. We have pictures of naked gold. Okay, so Russia, the central bank of Russia, announced today, as they do they try to do it on the 20th of the month, they release their reserve position on their website. And I generally go there, pull it out, take a look at it. They've got it in English, they've got it in Russian. And it includes their current status of gold reserves, of foreign reserves, of currency reserves, and I've been documenting that for about 5 years. So today they were a little early because they knew the weekend was coming, so they released, instead of on the 20th, they released it on the 19th. And they showed that they had added about, just this time only 300,000 ounces of gold, and that's about nine or so tons of gold. Now, there's many months where they might add 1 million ounces of gold a month, but this addition, brought them up to almost 271 tons of gold to reserves that they added this year. Now, that is a record for them. Let me show you. This chart here shows you from 1281 all the way up to the 2112 tons of gold. And that's a big addition. That's about 830 tons just from June 2015. Now, why did I pick June 2015 as a date just to show a snapshot? Well, that was the first month that China, the People's Bank of China, reported for the first time in 6 years. And Russia has blown away the amount of gold that China has added since then. The People's Bank of China hasn't been adding gold at the same pace. And Russia pretty much almost every month, although they've missed a couple of months in this last few years, of adding gold. But they have been very consistent. And this year they added 270.6 tons of gold. Let's take a look at the recent histories here. And you can really see what they're up to. Now, part of this is the de-dollarization. Part of it is just smart management of the reserves. The ruble is a horrific currency. They've got the third largest gold mining production in the world. And it makes sense. Gold is a store of value. The ruble isn't. You might as well convert those rubles into gold, especially if you've got a gold mine in your backyard. And that's precisely what they've been doing. And you can see it's not like Russia is a gold country, meaning that we always like the gold. We like gold when we are naked. We always have gold. You know, people have this mindset sometimes that when a country acquires gold, that they are smart and they like gold. Well, you can see there's times when they didn't like gold and they weren't smart, maybe. But now that Putin is in, they are smart. Yes, what they're doing is smart. There's no two ways about it. And they really started doing it around the time of the financial crisis, and they've stepped it up significantly, as you can see on the chart there. since 2014. Last year was a record year, and this year they accelerated that. But you could see there's times in the Russian history where we don't buy the gold. But let me show you what's interesting. Oh, I got to pull that chart off for it. I have a chart that shows a very important chart. Somehow it's not in the file. I just get it up really quickly right now. That shows Russian gold reserve additions versus their mining production. Because remember, I said that they have the third largest gold mining production, and that's behind Australia, very close to Australia, about 250, 300 tons a year. And then China is number one, and China has about, I don't know, they have gold reserves. They have about 400, 450 tons a year. Now, what's interesting is China does not have the largest gold reserves. When I say reserves, I don't mean that they have at the central bank. I mean what they have in the ground. It's that they are really exploiting what they have right now. They are definitely on gold pitch fever. Okay, so here you see gold reserves versus mining production. And you can see they've been moving up. They've been trying to add more gold production, are places like Kazakhstan. You can see in 2006 they mined 164 tons, but they only added 15 tons of that to the Central Bank of the Federation of Russia. And you can see in 2017 they mined 260 tons, and they almost put all of it onto the balance sheet of the Central Bank of the Federation of Russia. So the 224 tons out of 260, that's basically almost all of it. Now they have arrangements with China to help them produce more gold within the country, and they also have arrangements to sell the excess gold they don't add to the balance sheet to China. And just last year they came up with another agreement to sell some of it to India. But I don't think India and China are going to get much of it in 2018 when I complete this chart. I doubt that Russia produced, probably at best, they might have produced 300 tons this year. And you can see they've added 272 tons. So Russia is clearly taking its backyard gold and turning it into gold. They are adding it to the balance sheet. Okay, now where does that put... Well, let me just show you this one here. This is the Russian monthly gold editions. I mentioned that occasionally they will add 1 million ounces of gold to reserves in a given month, and you could see they've done it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times since June 2014. And this is a big deal because that's a lot of gold. And the other thing is interesting is that I've been asked if they have all this gold and they have this decent balance sheet and their economy is not necessarily in the toilet and it has some decent exports with oil and agricultural exports, why is the ruble so bad? And a lot of it has to do with the sanctions. And I mean, it also highlights that gold itself does not cure a country's balance sheet, even though, I mean, Kazakhstan's the same thing. Kazakhstan has 46% of its foreign reserves in gold. You would think people would start talking about gold-backed Kazakhstan tenge, but they're not. That's a very bad currency too, and the price, the value of that currency is very poor. But you can see from this chart, this is 33, 34 million ounces added to reserves. This is a steady thing. You would think this shows a prudent central bank. We're going to reward this prudence with a higher value of the ruble because the issuer of the ruble is run prudently. They only have about $450 billion worth of debt, and they've got all this gold. And take a look at this. I mean, they've added 1,000 tons of gold, 1,033 since June 2014. But look at this. This is just their foreign reserve position, and they've increased that almost $100 billion. $371 billion in January 2015 to $468 at the end of the year, of which $89 billion is gold. So think about this, though. let's keep that $89 billion number in mind. They got $89 billion worth of gold, dollars worth of gold. But look at this. That puts them fifth. 2,100 tons of gold is worth $89 billion. That's not a lot of money. It's fifth. It places them fifth. Forget, and I don't believe these numbers. Forget the numbers. Say they're all fake. Still, 2,100 tons of gold, you would still think is a lot of money. Let's say the United States has none of that gold and they're lying. Okay, take the United States out of there. And then, therefore, Germany has the most gold in the world at 3,300 tons. Okay. What's that worth? $130 billion? The amount of gold at the current prices that you think that these are these big stockpiles and they're stocking gold hand over fist, it's not worth that much. That's just, and the reason it's not worth that much is the amount of credit and currencies that have been created over the last 15, 20 years. As we know, we have hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of debt in the United States and outside the United States. It's a phenomenal amount, and there's very little gold in notional amount versus all the entire size of the economy. Now, much of the economy, you know, when you create all of this currency and debt, it goes somewhere and it goes into inflation, but it goes into inflating asset prices in companies like Tesla. And you have these multi-billion-dollar stock portfolios and you have housing prices going up threefold, and you don't really have much of an increase in any value, really. You have a price increase on the houses. The houses aren't worth more. It's not like if your house used to be $160,000, now it's $480,000. Your house isn't a better house. It just went up because of the amount of money they poured into the system that allows people to buy these houses because they lower the interest rates and people buy houses. It's the same with the stocks. The stocks aren't more, the companies aren't really more valuable. I mean, maybe they've increased their earnings few percentage points a year, but they've gone up 300%. They haven't increased their value 300%. They haven't grown their employee base 300%. They haven't increased their profits 300%. So this shows where gold has become a minor, very minor value in this whole debt scene. Now, take away all of that money printing, take away all that credit, remove the values from the stocks, from the real estate and all the other assets out there, then gold gets more fairly valued and it'd be a lot higher. That's why people say gold should be $10,000, $20,000. The only reason it isn't is people are striving to make their money, their life, in whatever fiat they can grab. So they're not, if they see that there's a credit expansion and part of that credit expansion means that asset prices will rise, well, then they're going to chase the asset prices that are rising. They're not going to chase the one that's sitting there. The only reason they would chase that would be a hedge that all of this asset price inflation comes to an end. Now, eventually, as we've all said, it'll come to an end. I just don't predict that it comes to an end anytime soon, because it looks like when you're in charge of the windmill, you can just turn it on. When you run the casino, you can change the odds. So when everyone says that this is a central bank created bubble, yes. But unless they go away, and there's no reason to think they're going to go away, they control the money supply. They control the interest rates. They can buy stocks. They can sell stocks. They can buy bonds. They can sell bonds. They can print money. I mean, they can do whatever they want. And that's what happens. And that's why you see the rising amount of... You see the money supplies massively increasing over the last 15 years. You see the credit increasing. You see asset prices increasing. And then gold just sits there. And that's because most of the world is chasing the other assets because they've been rewarded to do so. And as you know, if you've been holding on to gold or silver for 10 years, you'd have been rewarded holding on to real estate, holding on to stocks, holding on to anything that is being boosted artificially. But there you go. That 2,100 tons is still only worth 89 billion. That's like a month worth of QE and QE3, I believe. And that's it for the charts then for tonight. Let's see what we have over in the comments section. Tonight we have, I'm going to put up that. All right, let's get over there. Let's get over there. Okay. Well, we got Lance Deacon. I think he's new. Hello, Lance. De La Villa is here. Andrew is here. Pablo here. What is it? It's a Saturday night and the normal crowd comes shuffling in. Seth Shepard is here. Andrew asks, is Gilet Jaune going to spread to the west? That's the yellow vests. I don't know. You know, those are, that's what you wear when you go jogging or you ride a bike at night so you don't get run over. Let's see. Mark Dice video on the BuzzFeed article. I got to watch that. It's hilarious. Okay. Roger Henley. Did you say, Pablo, something about Smaulgld pencils? I got Smaulgld pens if you're interested. You go to the Smaulgld shop. We have pens. We've got t-shirts and hats. I make a big deal about the mugs, but there is here. I'm going to give you the Smaulgld store link right now. You can get a lot of different Smaulgld products there. It helps out Smaulgld, and you get great Smaulgld branded products. One of a kind. You don't get those fake Australian knockoffs. I forgot to add the Smaulgld Game Changer Eraser. Erases debt, yes. Seth Shepard, I'm so tired of liberal fake news liars. It's really disgusting, says Andrew. It's a game changer, says Pablo. All right, Seth Shepard. They're everywhere hating on Trump. You know, it's interesting. I don't remember anyone hating Trump. I didn't really like Trump when I was, in the Trump the game. I'm talking about way back when he was just a guy who was, But when he was on The Apprentice, there wasn't this disdain for him that I remember. It's when he became president that they decided to be totally against him. De La Ville Schilf is a leaker. Yes! I mean, well, we're going to see how all this shakes out, because he's now the head of that committee. Maxine Waters is the head of the Financial Services Committee. Unbelievable. William Birkin Road. The Fed, who are owned by shareholders of their 8 underlying banks, I think there's 13, have had a mandate require stability of the dollar, not the creation of inflation that's not pro-consumer. Yeah, the idea of, but I don't know how they consider a 2% inflation target, trying to create inflation, is somehow price stability, but that's what they've decided it is. And then also employment, they gave them that in 1979. Yeah, employment at full capacity depends on how one reports that haven't looked for a job for 1 year and not on the Fed dole, says William Birkenroad. And then 3, minimize boom bust cycle. Yeah. Andrew, silver stacker for life. Yeah, it's BS. Smaulgld isn't like that. What am I not like? What did I miss here? Silver stacker. I hate all these silver and gold pimpers trying to get you to buy it now. They're always trying to get you to buy it. I'll try to get you to buy it right now. Here, I'll give you a link. You can go and buy it. It's not investment advice, but if you've been pumped and you think that you need to have gold or silver because it's going to be a game changer and you're not going to be able to get any, and they're going to run out, and if you don't buy now, you're going to miss out, and it's better to be 7 years early than a day late. Here, you can go to, and Smaulgld gets a small commission. Here, go to SD Bullion. You can get a good product there. All right? Yeah, I'm pumping right now. You can go there and you can buy it. You can get these nice looking Litecoin silver rounds at Golden Eagle Coin. Smaulgld will make a small commission. Not the reason you should do it. The only reason you buy anything is because you've thought it through. You want to do it. You've spoken to your investment advisor, or you're just a big person and you can do what you want to do. But if you do want to go buy something, I'll give you links. You can go there and buy whatever you want. And Smaulgld will get a small commission. And here, Money Metals Exchange, another good company. You can go there. You can compare pricing. Again, not investment advice, but if you want to do it and you're going to do it, Why not help out the Smaulgld site if you're going to do it anyway? All right, let's get more. How was that? That's pretty good pumping, right? Gotta buy now. William Birkenroad. He's a real Fed lover here. Since 1913, all we've had is boom after bust. The Fed has failed. Well, I'm not a fan of the Fed, but also we've had booms and busts. That is the natural consequence of an economic system. In fact, they actually have, not that it's a good thing. If you think of the last 9 years, there hasn't been a boom or a bust. They've had nothing. What they should have had, if there was no Fed, but then there wouldn't have been the financial crisis. But let's assume somehow the free market created a... they just went nuts. They did stuff they never would have done. The only reason you had the financial crisis is because they had lowered interest rates for so long that they got all those, they created the housing bubble, and then they had the financialization issue of taking all those mortgages and putting them into, bundling them in and selling them. And then you had credit defaults, so you had all kinds of financialization around that, which probably would have been okay had they not created the housing bubble. But let's say the market, without, there was no Fed, and somehow the market did exactly what happened in 2008 on its own with no Fed. Then what would have happened? You would have just seen a disaster. It would have been bankruptcy, and housing prices would not have come back. Housing prices would have just gone down, and that would have given an opportunity for millennials who had no money, to buy a $400,000 house for $80,000. Because that would have been the value of it, because no one else could afford it. And the person with the $400,000 mortgage would just walk away or just go bankrupt. And that would really be bad for, I don't know, a few years. I mean, until everything kind of rebalanced. But then people would be nervous. You'd have higher interest rates, and you wouldn't have a... what the Fed did was they smoothed out the carnage that they caused. But if there wasn't a Fed, that probably wouldn't have happened. But even if it did happen, it would have readjusted. And instead what the Fed actually did was they made sure that whoever had assets before the financial crisis got to keep their assets, like Warren Buffett, and actually made money. I remember thinking to myself, oh, this is it. These bankers are screwed. In 2008, they're not going to get the bond. Whoa. Then all of a sudden, they started making money in 2009, big money. They made big money ever since. I thought there was going to be a realignment, that these were the people who made the big bets, and they lost, and now someone else gets a chance. But that's not what happened. But thank you, William Birkenroad. It's a sham. Loser. Oh, Seth is gone. Crypto shrugged off that the Congress established a statutory objective for monetary policy. Yes, maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rate in the Federal Reserve Act. What's interesting, they call that the dual mandate, even though that's three things. Maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates. That's the triple mandate. They call it the dual mandate. Holder, too big to fail, or jail. Okay. Silver Stacker. Yeah, I know now he does not do that, but just hate when they do and you call them out and people get offended on live chat. I think it's funny. It is funny. Holder, the AG that was in contempt of Congress. Yes. Go listen to George Webb, day 107. All right. Roger Henley. Trump is... Alex Jones. I'm sorry, I'm rolling through these comments. Ah, there we go. No, sorry, there's so many comments. I apologize. I've got to catch up to where I am. There's too many comments. Whoa. All right. Should renegotiate, call Saul or Lewis debt kings get off scot-free. That is exactly what happened. I'm sorry. There are so many comments here, I cannot keep up with them. Okay. I think I've finally figured out where we are. Russian gold reserves keep going up, says Roger. That is all I need to know. Yes, that is right. That is all you need to know, and therefore all you should do is think about gold, because Russia is stacking gold, because they know what is coming, and that is why I'm going to buy as much gold as possible. I'm going to stack the shiny. A lot of people do that a lot. They hear one piece of information, or some pumper gives them one piece of information, and that is all they need to know. And that's all they need. Okay, you can't go wrong with vodka and gold, says Roger. Yes, indeed. Or scotch and silver for the lower grade. Or, says Scott, beer and copper, says Andrew. Better than debt, says Pablo, a game changer. All right, what else do we got here? Pablo Pena, William Birkin wrote, Pablo Pena, we don't teach our children debt. However, that's how the central banking creates money globally. Absolutely. Russia has the least amount of debt in the known world. I don't know if it's the least amount of debt, but it is a manageable amount of debt, and it's not a consumer-driven economy. And you would think, yes, you would think that that would give the ruble some type of stability. But look at the Chinese yuan shouldn't have any, I mean, given what they do, nor would the dollar, I understand, because it's the reserve currency and is widely held. But the yuan, I wouldn't trust it. But I guess the reason the yuan is trustable is because they know they can always generate revenue and GDP by issuing debt. So therefore, the yuan has some value that's more stable than the ruble. Parents should not have called me scotch hopping. I don't know what that is. Roger Henley, Borat has the Kazakhstan economy all sorted out. Absolutely. ASMR people, easy for a country to stack gold when the government owns all the mineral rights. That's right. William Burke wrote, time to review Goldfinger, James Bond, 1964. William Birkin wrote, Munchkin, the Goldman Sachs pirate said gold is safe, yes, but is it tungsten? Yeah, I see, William, this is one that I don't agree with you on. This is a gold pumper narrative, that there's no gold at Fort Knox. As if it was that important for there to be gold at Fort Knox, it would be there. Because how much would 8,000 tons cost? Not too much. We saw 2,000 tons cost you $90 billion. That's only $270 billion worth of gold. Why wouldn't it be there? Oh, it was all leased out. Okay, if the United States can print $4 trillion for QE, you don't think they couldn't find that gold if somehow it was gone? I don't believe that story one bit. I absolutely believe that Roosevelt confiscated the gold, melted it down, built Fort Knox, and threw it in there. And if it was and if it's gone, I don't even understand why no one would care. That's such a small amount of money in the world scheme of things. And if the United States needed to have 8,000 ounces of gold, it could have it. It mines. The United States actually mines, I don't know, about 100 tons of gold a year. India imports 900 tons of gold a year. It doesn't move the gold price. So I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that story. In fact, if you talk to, what's his name? Ed Moy, former U.S. Treasury, former U.S. Mint director. He's been out of that place for about 5 or 6 years. He's been in there. He's seen the gold. There's no reason to doubt that. There's the idea that somehow in the middle of the night they opened up Fort Knox and someone stole all the gold makes no sense whatsoever. That's just when people think that gold is the only thing that matters in the world. If gold was that important, the United States would have it. Think about it. If the United States can blow up any portion of the world 50 times over, you don't think they couldn't find 8,000 tons of gold to put, it's only 4,600 tons of gold at Fort Knox. I don't believe that at all. Why the United States, if they can print unlimited amounts of money, why couldn't they have that much gold? The reason they don't audit it and they don't mention it is they don't want people to think that the dollar is backed by gold. They went off the gold standard. They never talk about gold, and there's a reason for that. They want the dollar to be the currency. It's got nothing to do with gold. And that's why when Russia adds gold to reserves, their currency doesn't go up. They've convinced the world that gold doesn't matter. But the United States isn't stupid. If they thought that gold was even marginally important to have, they would have it. It's not hard to acquire. Sorry about that. Done many shows on that one. Yes, William is saying first confiscated from the public in 1933 by FDR after our 29 crash. That's right. The government represents the people in our Constitution, however. Okay. MK Hearn says, yep, gold will get inflated by additional money being added to the system. The exact area is not known, but it's coming. Well, that's right. It only will happen when those asset prices can be inflated no longer. And people wake up like in the .com and they say, why do I own all these assets? I better sell them and get something for them. But it's kind of a conundrum. What are you going to sell and get something for them? For most people, when somebody sells a $25 million mansion, they don't buy gold with the proceeds, you see? So if somebody sells Tesla stock, they may buy a $25 million home. So it's kind of a conundrum because the world doesn't think of gold as the anchor portion of wealth. In fact, some people actually think it's Bitcoin. I don't know about that, but they think that's some kind of store of wealth. All right. Prajanti girl, is this live? I'm not getting notifications anymore. Absolutely not. I mean, it is live, yes. But I set up a notification for myself and I didn't get it. So that's YouTube. Hi, Pablo. I have been listening to Lewis on Silver Doctors. Had no idea he was live. Well, here I am. Yes, indeed. William, Scott Wardell, no bond. Okay, yes, MR. I used to wear a yellow vest when I worked construction. That's right. I need people to see you. Scott Wardell, he's a pretty smart young man. Needs some Polish. Everyone could use some Polish. Okay. And what he's talking about there. ASMR people, I would have chose a different rich guy for president if I chose, but what are you going to do? And they are the... William Birkenroad. I purchased 1/10 gold lunar and got the 1/4 shipwreck silver thanks to silver pumpers. Why would you get a gold lunar? Oh, silver pumpers. Okay. I like Jeff Bezos and Goldmember better. All right. Carrot bars. Somebody's on here trying to sell carrot bars. We're not showing that. Jack AG made it. YouTube doesn't send me these reminders. No, I know. Yep, it's all a conspiracy to keep me down. And the only way that this will change is if you buy everything from the Smaulgld store and send me all of your money and buy everything, all the gold and silver from the links that I give you. Otherwise, the truth that I provide will never get out there, and it'll be lost forever, and humanity will suffer. That's what some of the channels actually say, that their channel is so important. And this is Cicero again. This is the whole idea. It's the emotional connection that they make with people who think that they're logical. But they believe these stories, the gold pumper stories, the silver pumper stories, Q, my mom, Q and Non, and the banksters. We're going to get them. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get them all. With your help, we're going to fight the good fight. And then we're going to follow Russia. Was Alex Jones, or what is all this stuff here? It is Saturday night, and we got so many comments. Scott Wardell, they don't ring the bell at the top, sadly. Nope. All right. I think we're about done. No, we're not done here. We got more and more. Okay. Scott Wardell. Lewis, estimate the date when this club of clowns ends shutdown. Anyone else with a guess? GDP going up or down during Sawyer tweet? I think Trump is in charge of when the shutdown ends, because they're both saying it's the irresistible force, the immovable object. Trump says wall, they say no wall. That's not going to change. The only way it changes is Trump says wall, they say no wall, and then he says emergency wall. And I think that's when the Democrats, they get nothing. I think it's smart to reject this offer. What they should have done, instead of saying it's a non-starter, they should have just upped all the other stuff. They should have said we want DACA for 10 years. They should have said, it's very bad negotiating. They keep saying Trump doesn't know art of the deal, but anytime you trot out Nancy Pelosi, I don't think you win. I really think that the media tries to make her out to be like she's standing up to Trump. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to be objective. I don't see how you can rally around Nancy Pelosi. You may rally around her point of view, but I don't view her as a strong, charismatic leader that's going to carry the ball across the goal line there. I mean, they could have, nor is Chuck Schumer. I mean, they have people in the Democratic Party, but that's who they pick. Those are their leaders. So I doubt they will stop food stamps. Well, that's important, yes. Right now, I saw that many banks and PayPal are going to offer interest-free loans to government workers. That is a great job. I mean, generally, you get a pension. This is probably the first time you ever didn't get paid. And if you work in private sector, you get laid off. There's rifts. You don't get a pension. But here, now you get free loans. Okay. There's a woman march protest. Yes, there is. ASMR people. Interesting thought experiment to gold pumpers. Would you rather the U.S. have that 8,000 tons of gold or no gold and the national debt reduced by 20%? Well, yeah, I'll let you guys think about that one. Maybe we put that up as a question, ASMR people, as a poll. MK Hernus, we have to pay for products from other countries in gold, not dollars. We will have to. Well, I don't know. I mean, other countries actually do right now. Countries like Iran, I believe, might have to be paying in gold. Countries with weak currencies. But right now, the dollar is the strongest fiat currency. I mean, remember, the dollar is the centerpiece of the fiat currency system. So everybody claiming that the dollar is doomed, they're wrong. It's the fiat currency system that's doomed. But what's holding up the fiat currency system is the dollar. If the dollar goes, they all go. It's not like there's a strong currency out there just waiting to take the place of the dollar. You could forget the Chinese yuan. There's more debt there than in the United States. And more lack of transparency. No one would accept that. The euro, the whole Eurozone could implode. And what do you got after that? Swiss National Bank, some little tiny country in the Alps that buys Tesla stocks like it's going out of style. That's not going to be a reserve currency. There's no currency out there that's any good. They all have massive debt. And you can say, well, what about Russia? Russia's got, we just talked about it for half an hour, all the prudence and the $460 billion, especially it's not that big, $460 billion worth of reserves. And it's got some gold, $89 billion worth of gold. No one's going to be clamoring for rubles. So I don't buy the whole dollar collapse story. I do buy the whole eventually, perhaps, a reset of the whole thing. But it's not going to be the dollar that slips and falls first. At least that's my point of view. Nancy Pelosi says you can take that to the bank. Donald Trump will never be president. Is the bell on? I don't know. The bell is on. Jack AG, what's with that Bloomberg article saying silver is abundant and worthless nowadays? I didn't see that article. And same day, David Morgan says is scarce and companies are emerging because of short supply. Okay, what David Morgan was saying, I did just listen to that. And by the way, I'm going to have a debate with David Morgan on January 31st. Coming up, it's going to be live on Kennedy Financial. I think what Morgan was saying was not a silver shortage. He was talking about the bankruptcy of Republic Metal and Elemental Level, or whatever, they're going out of business. I think he's talking about a shortage of silver product, because those are two big companies, two mints that mint, rounds and bars, small stuff. And I think that was his issue, was he's saying that if you don't have the distribution, the ability to make them into rounds and bars, then there'll be a shortage. It's just like if the company that makes the hamburgers and the company that makes the machine that stamps the hamburgers go out of business, there might be a hamburger shortage, but it doesn't mean there's a beef shortage. I think that's what he was talking about, but I don't know. I don't want to speak on his behalf. But I haven't seen the Bloomberg article either. If you got a link, could you put it on there and I'll look it up? Game of Thrones. All right. Jake, AG, fantastic. A debate. Yes, the debate, I think, let me see if I can get you the picture of it. I'll give you the link, and I'll publicize it more as the time arrives. The idea of the debate is silver a monetary metal? And I am taking the view, I believe he's taking the opposite view, that I'm taking the view that silver is not a monetary metal. It used to be. It's dormant, and it probably never will be used as a currency again, other than if, let's say, they put it on the blockchain. And I think that's something that David is sympathetic to. I think he has some projects going on with blockchain this and blockchain that, you know, putting stuff on the blockchain. But I'm not sure. But let me see if I can show you this. Mark your calendars for the great silver debate. Yep, here it is. I'll put this up for you. The date is January 31st. And here comes, I'll give you the postcard for it, for the great silver debate. January 31st, great silver debate. And it is at, I don't know if the debate is going to have a chat. It would kind of make not much sense. 7 o'clock. Because obviously I'm not going to be looking at the chat while I'm discussing my points with David, but let me show you what it looks like. There it is, the great silver debate. David Morgan and Louis Casamarano live. Okay, gonna bring out the popcorn. All right, well, anyway, remember, I'm going to get off the line here. I want you all to have a good night. Don't forget to pick up your Smaulgld mugs. I will go Monday. Monday, I will walk to the post office in the snow and deliver your mugs, your Smaulgld classic and super classic mugs. In fact, I'll even throw in a game changer eraser if you go there. Oh, by the way, there's also a very special offer at the very top. I'm not going to say what it is. Top of the page of smaulgld.com. You spend $100, you get $30 off. I'm not going to say what the product is. You go there and you look at that yourself. But that is a special Smaulgld special. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, MK Hearns, I don't view it as being against David. People love this kind of, like it's some kind of antagonistic thing. But be interesting to see what his position is. I think I know what his position is. He's the silver guru, but he's different. He's not selling silver. Remember, he's not the same as some of the others who sell silver, so they're always going to tell you silver's going up. And he's, I would imagine, more of an analyst than silver can do no wrong. But we'll see. All right. Thank you very much, and we will see you tomorrow. I'll give you 10 seconds for any further comments, and then I'm going to climb off. 10. That's right. I don't think he's a silver bumper. 4, 3. He's an analyst. 2, 1. Oh, there you go. All right, everyone. Good night, all. Good night. Forever. Good night. Good. I am not young. I'm ancient. Dillashar. All right, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I want to express a multitude of gratitude. Good night.